right, guys, been a few days. Went on my business trip. It was mostly relaxing and a good trip until I went on the return flight, got out of the taxi and realized I left my passport in the motel or hotel room. And that led to a very exciting 2 to 3 hours. I think I lost a little extra hair. But other than that, it was great. All worked out good in the end. So I'm back, guys. It's not tons and tons and tons of information and storylines. But there are some good ones. I'm going to go over Phillips, talking about his rehab. Anthony Weaver, I thought, I did my live Friday night. I thought he was going to be the guy. Some talk about that. I'm going to dig into that a little bit. Injuries. Dolphins in 2023 had tons and tons of injuries. But we had tons of injuries the year before. And we had tons of injuries the year before that. And we had tons of... We always have tons of injuries. But this year was clearly the worst. And a lot of people in the media, especially in the Dolphins organization, are using it as a get-out-of-jail-free card. And you cannot deny its legitimacy. But I would like to go over the Titans from 2019 who had a 90-person roster because of all the injuries, because of all the IRs. I'm going to go over them to show you that, you know what, you can overcome injuries, even gross amount of injuries, if you're built right and you play right. Obviously, they lost to KC, but you can see when you go over this roster to realize, hey, you know what? There is some value to these massive amounts of injuries, but really, it's not the end-all, be-all. Then hot routes. Kurt Warner mentioned we didn't have hot routes. Tua talked about how he get to the line late. A commenter was very, very smart, talked about the delays and how much it takes and how you can't, the way we set the system up, we can't call hot routes. And I think it's critical, especially for a guy like Tua, who's got to win pre-snap and post-snap in the cerebral part of the game to really be his best. And that ties into the tight end and slot receiver debate. Some people say slot receiver, some people say tight end. But I'm going to kind of go over why this tight end is key for many reasons, and it permeates into this hot routes thing. And then I was going to go a little schoolgirl on Larry Czonka, doing the handing off of the Super Bowl trophy. It would have been so awesome. It was so set up for us to be the team, maybe at least to be there, if not to get the trophy from the great Larry Czonka. So that's it for the day, guys. Likes, subscribes, comments, the views, all that stuff keeps me in business. I don't get to do it without that. So I want to thank you for all that you're doing. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you are subscribed. Please comment. I love the comments. I was really on a busy vacation, so I couldn't get to them. I'm going to be catching up the next couple of weeks and then going to my vacation myself, my personal vacation, and then I'll answer them then. But I love those comments. I learned so much from them, and I feel like I have a real relationship with so many of you. And I'm thankful for all that you do. So I want to give you a shout out and a shout out to Ace Per, my sponsor, because without you, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, Phillips said they showed a picture of him walking gingerly on his bad Achilles damaged leg. He had a little bit of a grimace on his face a little bit, but man, the guy is working hard. I love this kid. Praying for this kid. I see some people saying the timeline is for him to be ready around September. I don't know, and I don't know if I want that. I would much prefer him to come in around October, November, slowly matriculating his way into the roster and into those reps, because there's a lot to ask. You know, we're not going to have Chubb. We're definitely not going to have Chubb. And we're going to be light on the end position unless somehow we can sign Van Ginkel, VG, the Gink, or draft somebody else. But even still, we're going to be light. And I don't want him in the run stop, putting extra stress on it. This is a big year for the kid. It's year 4. If he nails it, you can put a tag on him maybe or get some kind of extension. This is a big deal for us and the kid. So I don't know if September is a real due date. If he does, it's going to be amazing. I hope it is. I mean, look at Rodgers over there, what he's done. So it was great news to hear from that. I don't know if that means September, but we'll see. Now, Anthony Weaver, he's come over from the Ravens, and people are already talking about he gets along with people, and he's going to call this, and look at the Ravens defense. I like the kid. He's a grown man. He's almost not almost my age, but it's hard for me to even call him a kid, which I kind of like. He's 30-something. He played NFL. He's been around. He's been assistant coach, head coach. He's played DC coordinator for 1 year. Didn't go well with the Texans. But guys, you got to factor in the talent. I got to go over the roster and the offense behind it, because you could even have great defensive talent like you saw with the Jets, but if you don't have an offense, so there's a lot to go into that evaluation. But he's been around a while. He's been with the Ravens, which is a phenomenal organization to be a part of. Look at Zach Sealer. I just love the Ravens organization. I hate them because they beat us all the time. But except for the 1 year of Flores. But aside from that, that's a great organization. He's a good member for this team. I don't know if he's going to be a great DC. And we have to remember the talent level. You're looking at the Ravens defense, and that is one talented defense. Let's take a look at this defense right here. I mean, you got Hamilton and Williams and Roquan Smith, who's unbelievable. McQueen, you got Steve McQueen. Stevens, Humphrey, Van Noy, Clowney, Malabuk, Pierce, Jones. And then if you look at their nickel package, they got Mollett. This is an elite defense, top to bottom. And, listen, as Bum Phillips said, Don should look to take yours and beat his and beat yours and yours and beat his. There's no more critical weight that's carried with coaching than in the NFL. NFL coaches really can be the difference between wins and losses, but it can't go through a whole season. It's here and there, and it is a little bit of difference, but that little bit of difference can mean a lot. But you still need horses. It's a game of horses. And so he's going to have a bunch of talent, and he's going to have to try to coach it. Now, he could be the right coach if he doesn't have the right talent, and there's a lot of talent that could be back, we could be adding to, or could be gone. I don't think he's a bad option. I still think Fangio, with his experience and his innovation and his, he's better. He's a better. Now, his personality might not fit in there, but you could see even with the personality difference, look how good the defense played. You could say, well, the Titans game. Look at the difference between Boyer and Fangio, and look what he didn't have. He didn't have that much more than a year before. So, look, Flores is an elite coach on defense. You can see what he did with Minnesota, and obviously with the Patriots and with the Dolphins. But you saw when he lost both his corners, when Jones and Howard were dinged up, you saw the defense go down. And then Fangio came in here. Boyer wasn't terrible, but he was missing lots of pieces. And I'm not saying he was great, maybe below average, maybe a little bit more sometimes. But then Fangio came in and did a great job. But look at all the talent he had. But he was able to maximize at that end, and that really showed me a lot. Can Anthony Weaver do that? I don't know. We'll see. It's going to really come down to talent. But again, if the talent's not there and he looks like garbage, people say he sucks, when you got to just really evaluate fairly. So overall, I do like the fact that Weaver's here. I would have preferred Vrabel. Come on, let's be real. Vrabel would have been, but that's not who we're getting. We're getting a certain kind of group of people because there is turbulence with coaches and this franchise for whatever reason, And so I think it was one of the better options of that mid-level to lower-end options. I just think the guy could be great for us. And if he can get us to have a defense like the Ravens in philosophy and then get the talent to drive it, that would be awesome. Now, injuries. We had lots of injuries. You can't say, hey, disregard it. But look at Fangio with his defense. Okay, you could say the Ravens, but the Ravens game, we didn't do anything on offense. That the defense totally did not just suck. They put us in position a few points, and then offense went kaput, and then they just drove it off. But then against the Bills, against KC, they came back at his defense and played excellent. And were gutted with injuries, gutted with guys that were just walking on the practice field and for whatever reason, the coach didn't know was going to be there and just throwing him out there. So you could see that injuries aren't totally the defining factor. You could say, oh, well, the injuries on the offense. But if you look at the Titans from 2019, who won the NFC, best record, went to the conference game. Delaney Walker, big piece for them. Tight end, receiver, 7 games he only played. Cam Wake, such a shame. I love to have seen him get to the postseason. He went down injured 9 games. Brent Urban, nice reserve guy, solid guy from the Ravens, 4 games. Ryan Suckup, their kicker, 6 games. They went through 3 kickers that season. Tannehill is someone quarterback, whatever you want to say. He played 12 games. Jeffrey Simmons, now he was a rookie. He took a year off, I think, or they gave him whatever. He only played 9 games, but he played the last end of the 9 games, but he started off missing a lot of games. He's a big piece. Nate Davis, their good guard, 12 games. Malcolm Butler, big defensive back, only 9 games. Henry missed a game. Dory Jackson, defensive back, very critical for them, 11 games. Taylor Lewan, 12 games, and David Long, 14 games. And that's just a cursory look. They had a 90-player roster because of all the injuries and the cuts to get other guys in and move pieces around. They were devastated with injuries all season. They even had our Jameel Douglas, who was terrible, have 5 starts, and they went to the conference championship. And they lost 35-24, which was a relatively close game. And so you can look at that team, and it's not exactly apples and apples, but it's not apples and oranges between us and them. But we crapped out. We were totally in the lead. We totally crapped out. We wet the bed on offense big time. And, again, you'll say the injuries on the offensive line, but KC is going to the Super Bowl, and they're probably going to only have 2 of their starters. I mean, the other starters, Taylor and the other guy, Smith, I guess his name is, can't remember his name. They're not good. So really, it's only 2 starters. You got Thuney's going to probably be out. It might be a torn pec. We're not sure, but they missed the last game with them, and they won. Huge game. And then you got Humphreys and Smith, the other right guard, and that's it. Yeah, they got Mahomes, but that was not just Mahomes winning these games. Obviously, the tight end position, which I'm going to get into now. Tight end or third wide receiver. Well, we've been a finesse team, and we've struggled in the cold weather, and we've struggled to run inside, run in general, except for the edge runs. But I've gone through that. I'm not going to beat that like a dead horse this time. Later, I will. So the slot receiver is going to be more of the same. You need a tight end because we don't have hot routes. We got to get there and we do all this motion, all this other stuff. In crowd noise, it's a problem. It's home, it's a problem. We get to the line late a lot of times. We can't do hot routes because we have to do all this movement because we just can't walk up to the defense and go, boom, once in a while, right in the nose, and call something simple. And if you get up there and it's a simple call and you don't like what you see as far as run a pass, you call the opposite because you see them, bunching up or dropping deep. We don't do that. And the tight end is the biggest mismatch on the field. He's a little too big for the DBs. He's a little too fast for the linebackers when you got a good one. They play that physical inside post, those short skinnies. They can do all these little stuff that inside, that 5 to 15 area in the middle, as well as creating the mismatches and blocking, both blocking in the pass and the run game and working off play action. When you got a tight end who can block relatively well and catch relatively well, you run play action, he gets in there and jams. Then you do the play action and he goes off and usually he's left behind. Or you could do a nice little drag route where you play action one way. He starts on the left side and then he just pretends to block and then he drifts against the grain and he opens up backside. That tight end does so much if it's the right guy, for the physicality and the passing game to help the quarterback out, to make things more simple. And you know what? That's what this team needs. More physicality to be more simple. And, from what I hear, it's like we had everything. It was just the injuries. We did not. I said at the beginning of the year, we weren't physical enough, couldn't run inside. We were going to struggle in bad weather. I have guys that I was talking to for like a while now, and They were, oh, yeah, just a little too much on that offensive line thing. And now that we all seen it, I don't even hear from him anymore. It's, it's a fantasy. And if Greer, it's going to be very hard to fight a tight end, but there's guys out there. It doesn't have to be, Kelsey or Kittle. It could be, instead of a 10, it could be like a 7 or 8. And with the speed we got on the edges, you can create tension. I spoke about this in the live, how offenses, when they go against the defense, they want 4-point tension. You got to have the fear the inside, run and pass, fear the middle, fear the edges, fear the outside, and that tension creates gaps. And then the quarterback and offensive coordinator can find weaknesses in those gaps to call to those gaps. But when you do the same thing, just different flavors, screens, run wide, outs, skinny post, pocket post, and then deep, and then outs. Everything's here. The defense can call the same thing over and over again. So anybody who's saying, unless the slot is, Hall of Fame, a tight end is obviously the way to go. Tight end, physicality, simple. I mean, it's a very basic formula. I'm sorry to get frustrated, but it's like so obvious. Tight end. Every team that was in the playoffs doing well had 1 or 2 tight ends, but we don't need that. Sorry, I got a little excited again. Just got back. So last part is Csonka. I grew up on Csonka post. He was with the Giants, and then he came back in the second iteration. That's when I kind of remember him. But I always remember those books. There was like a book on Larry Czonka and a broken nose and the horseshoe that fell on his nose and split him and all the vintage film. And he was the guy I loved. He's, outdoorsman, which that's my thing. I love that. I just love him as being a person, a man of character. Everything about him was unbelievable. I'm so happy to see him hand off that trophy. I just really wish it was to the Dolphins. Larry Czonka and so many of those old guys. So many new guys too. But man, Larry Czonka is like the best of the best of the best, right? He's like right up there. Sometimes I go back and forth. Sometimes Marino and sometimes it's Czonka as far as my favorite. And then the Cox is in there and Zach and, but Zonka's probably made number 1, and then maybe Marino. But anyway, that's great news. I can't wait to see that. I'm going to probably record it and watch it a couple times. He's such a great guy. So it's good for us that we got a Dolphin representing a great Dolphin. So that's it, guys. I'll get back to you with more stuff. I'm not going to do the live for a couple of weeks. I need to recharge the battery. I'm going to get more stuff to you over the next couple of days. I'm going to cover some other teams. So that's basically it. Hope all's well. Glad to be back. Still feel it's a weird. Take a couple of days off. It's like I've never done this thing before. Anyway, Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.